Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT In Your House review for the 13th of June 2021. Not a bad show, but certainly lesser than their average NXT takeovers in the past have been. Free show basically features a bunch of talking heads, nothing of note there. Naomi Fox performs a song to open the show. Todd Pettengill, former 90s interviewer and show host, is there. Tells us that this is the largest gathering of fans in Capitol Wrestling Center to date. Winner take all for the North American Championship and Tag Team Championship. Bronson Reed, the North American Champion, and MSK, Wesley, and Nash Carter. The Tag Team Champions defeats Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Real Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde in 13 minutes 41 seconds. I mean, as far as spots go, this is fine. Lee and Mendoza start, and they do a lot of counter wrestling and high flying. Carter and Wilde are up next. Wilde hits a springboard arm drag, takes a little too long, and gets kicked in the face for his trouble. Escobar tags in and goes face to face with Carter. Carter tags in Reed. Escobar runs away and tags Mendoza. Mendoza does high flying as one would expect him to do. Reed doesn't seem to care about this and hits a bunch of clotheslines before finally taking him out. Reed hits a sit down splash. Escobar comes in and soccer kicks the North American champion for his trouble. Reed then takes him down crossbody and hits a press slam on his opponent here. MSK then hits frequent tags and a somersault senton, and Lee gets a 2 count. Reed hits an assisted senton for a 2, and then the champs continue to dominate. Escobar finally makes a tag. Carter hits a moonsault to the outside, out onto the floor. Wilde takes Carter out with a dive soon thereafter. Lee and Mendoza hit dives of their own. Reed takes everyone out with a tope of his own. Too many dives and too early in the show for this. Not to mention, a guy 400 pounds should not be diving. Back in the ring, MSK tries to hit a bunch of double team maneuvers, but Phantasma and crew pull Carter out of the ring. Escobar takes Lee out, and a top rope Rana from Escobar gets a 2 count. An assisted 450 from Wilde also gets a good crowd reaction. Lee escapes, and Reed is finally tagged in. Reed goes nuts on all 3 members of the Heels and hits a double Samoan drop on Wilde and Mendoza. Reed wants to go for Escobar, but Wilde cuts him off from behind. Escobar tags in and hits a Michinoku driver, which psychologically doesn't make sense. And then Carter breaks up the pin. Wilde and Mendoza hit a high-low on Carter, but Wesley drove in to break up the pin. Escobar then grabs the belt from ringside, but then's blindsided by a running splash from Reed, sending him through the barricade at ringside. Mendoza dive cuts him off with a super kick. Then MSK hits an assisted blockbuster. Reed pulls straps down and hits a splash to retain the titles for everyone involved. Kyle O'Reilly's interviewed earlier today saying it's a good day to fight. Gargano and The Way arrive at the same time, and they try to get O'Reilly to fight right there. Officials come in, and William Regal and officials break things up. Comedy segment airs. Basically, Pettengill tries to use a VHS tape. Video reappears, and Mercedes Martinez defeated Xia Li at the Mae Young Classic over 4 years ago. Can't believe poor Mercedes Martinez, both friend and good wrestler, has been wasted for 4 years of her career in this way. Xia Li with Boa defeats Mercedes Martinez in 7:39. Not not a decent match. Little happened here. Lee takes the fight to Martinez early. Martinez takes her down with a backdrop and a fallaway slam. Lee takes her to the floor and sends her into the post. And then she goes off on the shoulder of Martinez and hits a drop kick on the floor. They trade strikes, and they're in the ring, and Lee maintains control with kicks and knees. Martinez comes back with the butterfly suplexes, but Lee regains control and then hits an exploder. Martinez avoids corner attack and hits a cliffhanger for a 2 count. She then follows up with a series of repeated knee. Boa tries to pull things out and then prevents further attack. Martinez pushes her aside and counters a running attack with a back body drop on the floor. Back in the ring, a cyclone kick from Lee surprised Martinez for the win. Post-match, Boa throws Lee into a chair, and then Martinez kicks the legs out from under her. Martinez grabs the chair and hits Boa and Lee with everything, and then Lee's entrance effects show up, and Mel Ying appears, and Martinez and her stare at each other. Ying grabs Martinez by the neck and tosses her off the ramp into the barricade. Maybe Martinez is going to get a gimmick makeover of some sort or something. Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher cut a promo. They said that they'd show everyone in 48 hours, I guess on Tuesday, how dangerous they are. Sad that they're not on this particular process. $1 Million Championship ladder match. LA Knight defeats Cameron Grimes in 19 and a half minutes. Certainly not the best of ladder matches. Knight takes down Grimes with shoulder block. Grimes comes up and out-wrestles Knight for a couple of sequences. Knight rolls the floor, grabs a ladder, and tosses it into the ring. Grimes is on the floor. He then tries to throw the ladder at Grimes, but Grimes avoids it before falling victim to a series of clotheslines. Knight then sets a ladder up in the ring, and both men climbed it, and Knight then sends Grimes to the floor. They then fight over the ladder before Knight grabs another series, and then they had a ladder fight until Grimes kicks Knight to the floor, and then they fight over the ladder again. Grimes gets the advantage by pushing Knight to end the ladder into the barricade. He follows up with a soccer kick. Then Grimes opted to fly at Knight on the floor. Knight and Grimes sends into the barricade and then hits him with a ladder. Knight continues to send him into objects around the ring, basically turning this into almost a street fight and a ladder match in one. Grimes turns it around, and Knight takes Grimes down yet again. Back in the ring, Knight hits a slingshot shoulder block. Grimes counters and continues with a German suplex into the ladder, which was needlessly dangerous. Follows up with a ladder attack. Knight moves out of the way and hits a neckbreaker onto the propped up ladder. This did not look like it felt good, nor did it look good visually. Grimes then tries to make a comeback with a couple of punches, but then Knight props the ladder against the ropes and then props another one up against the turnbuckle, and Knight ends up getting whipped into the ladder face first. He then laid in a bunch of kicks. Knight pulls Grimes' hair and sends him hard to the mat. Grimes countered with a running attack and with a back body drop into the ladder. Knight then sent over the top rope into the ladder bridge. Grimes then goes after a gold ladder on the stage and brings it up into the ring. He then climbs and grabs for the belt, but Knight meets him at the top. Knight falls off, but is able to push the ladder over, and Grimes goes crashing to the canvas. Double down, and then Knight sets up more ladders, creating a bridge. Grimes surprises him, hits a thrust kick, but Uh, Knight hides behind DiBiase's security and takes Grimes out. Knight whips Grimes into the ladder. Grimes climbs it and grabs onto some staging, and Knight pushes the ladder away, and then Grimes hits a crossbody. Grimes climbs the gold ladder in the ring. Knight tries to powerbomb him out of the ring, but Grimes turns it into a Rana. Grimes shouts to the moon and nearly reaches the championship, but Knight pushes the ladder over, sending Grimes into the ladder bridge. And Knight then unhooks the belt and wins the championship. And then he celebrates with the $1 Million Man. Wasn't exactly surprised by the heel turn there. Pettengill tries to advertise WWE shop, but it's interrupted by Hit Row, and they plug their hit song or new song, Now You Know. Women's Championship, Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai defeats Ember Moon in 12:40. Decent match itself. Moon comes out with a bunch of strike game. Gonzalez hits her with a crossbody, and Moon counters into a one-armed powerbomb with a Rana, sending Gonzalez into a turnbuckle. But Gonzalez sends Moon into the barricade and a shoulder block. Out to the floor, Gonzalez then counters and continues to dominate. Back in the ring, Gonzalez maintains control until Moon kicked her way out of the corner attack. She then hits a diving codebreaker, but Gonzalez catches her and planted Moon with a sidewalk slam. Twisting Vader bomb followed for a 2 count, and then Moon tries to fight back with strikes, and then a thrust kick caught Gonzalez under the jaw. And then more kicks staged, and Gonzalez hits forearms before finally taking the champion down. Moon then hits a code red for a 2 count. She locks in a modified deathlock, and then Key assists Gonzalez by helping her reach the ropes. They regroup on the floor, and then there's a dive. Back in the ring, flatliner from Moon only gets a near fall. Kai distracts Moon with the while Gonzalez climbs the ropes. Gonzalez takes control with a superplex, and Gonzalez goes for her one-armed powerbomb. Moon cradles her for near fall. Gonzalez comes back with a big boot and a near fall of her own and an inverted suplex. Moon turns that into a modified ellipse and almost hits her finish for the win. Moon gains a little bit of separation, follows up with a diving code breaker and the ellipse, but Kai then puts Gonzalez's foot on the ropes. Shotzi Blackheart appears to chase off Kai, sending her into the staging and bringing her up backstage. Gonzalez flees from the apron, and then Moon climbs the ropes and hits a tornado DDT on the ramp. Moon then rolls Gonzalez into the ring, where Gonzalez kicks out at 2. Then she goes for another ellipse, but Gonzalez caught her with the snake eyes in the corner and the one-arm powerbomb for the win. Pettengill does another comedy deal here. This time he's about to play Karate Fighters, and his opponent was Dexter Lumis. Pettengill asked how the women were treating Lumis these days, and Lumis broke the game and smashes Pettengill's piece in his hand. Then we get a hype for the Great American Bash returning to TV special on Tuesday, July 6th. I don't necessarily like this, because if you're not going to make it special, then why do it? Anyway, the next lineup for the next NXT, Ciampa and Thatcher versus Grizzled Young Veterans in a Tornado tag match, and Kushida, the Cruiserweight Champion, issues an open challenge. Now it's time for your very long and elongated main event. So, Fatal 5-Way. Karrion Kross with Scarlett defeats Cole, O'Reilly, Gargano, and Dunn in 26-25. Probably went about 5 minutes too long, but it was fine. Certainly lots of spots. Basically, the whole match is a spot fest, if we're completely honest. And there's good action throughout. Crowd isn't invested because they haven't really been given characters to invest in. But they do not like, Karrion Kross as their champion. O'Reilly and Cross, O'Reilly and Cole brawl on the floor. Cross and Dunn are in the ring. Dunn hits a bunch of leg kicks and goes for a guillotine. Cross hits him with a Northern Light suplex for his trouble. O'Reilly comes in and a missed high cross gives Karrion Kross an opening. O'Reilly counters into a heel hook, and Kross fights out into a German suplex. Gargano is next, and then for Kross, he goes for the Gargano escape before going after the leg of the champion. Takes him down with a Rana. Kross comes back with a corner attack and hits an exploder suplex for his trouble. Cole immediately takes advantage by kicking out of Kross's knee and hitting an enziguri. Dunn then pulls Cole out of the ring and traps him behind the apron and allows the entire field to beat him down. Kross then continues to dispatch all four opponents. He hits a Northern Light suplex on Dunn and Gargano before hitting a lariat on O'Reilly and getting a near fall. O'Reilly then fights out with a powerbomb and lands with many strikes and a bunch of Muay Thai stuff. Kross then hands down and lands on his knees, and then Cole matches him and goes for an armbar. Dunn then locks up an armbar on O'Reilly before Gargano tries to get involved, and Dunn then attacks the fingers of both O'Reilly and Gargano before Kross powerbombs him into both situations. Cole then retreats to the ramp with Kross and fights out. Dunn and Gargano get involved, sending him through the door of the in-your-house stage, and there's a leg lariat from Cole that takes down O'Reilly, and then Gargano hits an enziguri on O'Reilly before putting Cole in position for Tree of Woe. O'Reilly is in the corner. Dunn hits Gargano with a roll-up, and Gargano turned the bitter end into a DDT before throwing Dunn into the corner like a lawn dart through Cole and O'Reilly for a near fall. Gargano goes for the do-it-yourself, but then there's a bunch of strikes from Cole, and everybody involved lead to a quadruple down where everybody's down. O'Reilly catches Cole with a kick and applies an ankle lock, but Cole comes out of it, and Kross picks up O'Reilly. Kross then sends O'Reilly and Cole into the barricade, and then there's a double-hand powerbomb, sends Gargano into the ring apron. He tosses Dunn into a pile on the outside. Kross and Gargano come up next, and they're in the ring, and then they hit an F5 for a near fall. Gargano makes a comeback with a tornado DDT using Cole as with an assist, and O'Reilly hits a tope on the outside, follows up with a spear on Kross for a diving DDT onto Dunn, but then he's met with a super kick from Cole. Gargano avoids the last shot and locks everything in and locks in the Gargano no escape, but Cole then fights out and counters a slingshot spear into a kick, and then Gargano counters the Panama Sunrise into a belly-to-back driver for a near fall. O'Reilly is taken out with a bunch of kicks from Gargano and Dunn, and then Cole and Gargano take out Dunn, and everybody kind of gets covered for near falls. Kross comes into the ring and hits clotheslines on all four opponents before getting hit with lariats from everyone else involved in the contest. O'Reilly gets an upper hand, but Kross eventually takes him out as well. Kross hits German suplexes on everyone. Then there's a bunch of kicks on Kross's head. Cole and O'Reilly tried to powerbomb Kross through the announce table at one point, The table doesn't break, and the challengers face off in the ring. Gargano and Dunn hit super kicks, and then Dunn and O'Reilly both um, applied submissions, and then the victims trade um, strikes with O'Reilly dropping Dunn with a forearm. Dunn then transitions into a standing Kimura and a triangle with Gargano taking down both with a slingshot spear, and Cole and O'Reilly go back at it, and there's a near fall there. Cole and Dunn exchange forearms. In ring, Dunn is down in the corner with a backflip, and Gargano counters super kicks. Gargano locks in both Cole and Dunn in the Gargano no escape, but O'Reilly breaks it up, and he hits Gargano and hits a strike exchange with O'Reilly, finishing it with a brainbuster. He climbs to the top, but then sends everybody to the floor. Cole hits the Panama Sunrise on Gargano, but Dunn pulls him out of the ring and kills him with a brainbuster on the floor. Cross then props him up on the announce table, and Dunn invites him in for a fight. Dunn unleashes on Cross, forcing him to cover up, but Cross hits a German suplex. Dunn hits one of his own, followed by a bitter end, but Cross kicks him out to a great near fall. Dunn then immediately locks in on a triangle, but the other three break up the hold. Dunn dispatches his opponents with kicks before catching a low blow and going for the finger break spot. Cross then breaks things up with a double doomsday salto, then Cross jacket followed, but Cross locks in on the cross jacket on Gargano. Gargano then jackknifes him over the cradle for a near fall. Cross maintains a hold. Cole hits the last shot on Cross, but is chopped down by O'Reilly, who hits a diving knee on Cross. Cole then breaks up the cover with a super kick. O'Reilly avoids the last shot and locks in a heel hook, and Cross locks in the cross jacket on O'Reilly. With the hold still locked on Cole, O'Reilly fades, relinquishing the heel hook, and passes out. Referee stoppage. Post-match, interviewer catches up with Regal, and he says in his 7 years as GM, he's never seen so much bedlam, and he says he thinks it's time for a change. Don't know what that means, but maybe there'll be something new to come from that in the next little while. Anyway, that's the review. Overall, not a bad show, but not a lot of storyline advancement, which is sad. Anyway, until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.